So since you started really immersing in the data, we've had a lot more technology. What are some of the trends you see in how people use television now with the new technology?
Yeah, it is, dramatic. I mean, because when I started, we were in the 20-30% DVR penetration, and we're watching chunk up, and so you do see a lot of the time shifting, and that helps consumers see a lot more content with the DVRs. But I think a little bit more than that, the on demand, where you don't even have to remember to make a selection to record it. Um, at the same time, the DVR capacity, more and more people can store up exactly what they want to watch and watch it over time. So we're seeing a lot of pull away from the live component, well, even though that's still hugely important. Um, Also, what I've seen is the cadence of the cable to broadcast. You'll watch the consumer's viewing of live content, then they layer in the DVR. But then as the cable premieres start that are the opposite of the broadcast ones, you can see the behavior switch in and out. And I think that one is rather fun. The on demand right now has been phenomenal with the free on demand being flooded in over the last 2 years or so. That has been tremendous. People sampling and then going back into DVR to record it. So you see a lot of sampling behavior, like what is this? And then when they realize that they love content, back into the DVR. So I really think that more studying will be done of the people's DVRs, what they choose to record, how long they keep it, and how long it is until they actually view it. Do they need to keep up, or are they going to binge? Because you can do your homemade binging. So I've seen all these things playing themselves out. The digital realm now is beginning to have some impact. Seeing folks over time with their showing up on their tablets, their over-the-top devices, as well as the live and the DVR. What I see mostly is the live streaming is very similar to live television or on a set-top box. But the on-demand is almost exactly the same as on-demand in a set-top box environment on the digital versus the TV-based one. So a lot of things are up in the air. I have this vision of the future of curated channels, and where friends, if more of social meets television. I don't think we're quite there yet. I was way too far ahead on that. But I think in the future we'll tell each other this is the grouping of shows that I think we'll like to watch together, and we'll continue to interact that way a little bit more. Everybody wants to be a broadcaster or a programmer, and the tool sets are now enabling us to do that.
So segueing into my prediction question, if you were to look forward the next 3 to 5 years,
Uh-huh.
can you give me some predictions about where you would see the media landscape?
Um, that's interesting. So right now, we're seeing, the typical fragmentation is happening, and now we're seeing the MVPDs start rolling up again. At the same time, we're seeing all these multi-platform or non-MVPD folks coming in and starting to generate their own content. So I think there's going to be this continued confusion of where new content comes from. It's not quite user generated as meeting the big time, but it's somewhere in between that right now. And I think it'll be a generational split. I don't think that's a surprise. You have the younger generation who do not align themselves up with one or two networks. They really just have to do with content and social influence to help shape their desires. Um, Further in the coming out to I think more of the MVPD landscape, this idea that television is a household, whereas digital is a device and it's personal. Um, we have subscriptions that are based on households. Now we're going to have all these devices. At what point is a household these 5 people? You have to shift from a household-based subscription to a person-based subscription. And I think the financials are going to start dictating this. How many people are in the household? What is the price can you get for a bundle per person? Perhaps we'll move to a per person type of bundling as opposed to per device, because it's getting almost unreal at this point to try and track all the devices, since everybody wants to have that same content on all their devices. It makes sense to go to a per person as opposed to a household or a device level subscription. So, a little different, but hopefully the dynamics will continue to be in favor. I hate a la carte. I don't think that. I think when people start seeing how much they're paying for it, they're gonna go back. They're gonna come back to the bundle. I think that's the future.
So Caroline, you've worked for an agency as well, so you have a really good overview of how the business works of media. How do you think all this technology, all this measurement, this cross-platform device usage, even connected TVs, how will this, in your opinion, impact the business?
Impact the business of advertising. On one level, it is putting a huge burden on the agencies to figure out. At the same time, where you have the advertisers trying to squeeze out how much money an agency can make, particularly as the agencies broke down into media buying groups and the other verticals of services. I think for media agencies it's getting very tough to have enough experts in all those realms and to still be able to present a great strategy for a client. So I think there's a tremendous burden. At the same time, it's just hugely exciting because there's never been a time like this to prove that advertising works, and very specific tactics. So it is so phenomenal to show a client that you increased their sales, better yet, increase their margins, their ROI, and that the tactics work over and over and over again. This virtuous cycle is very exciting, and I think it makes better relationships when you find that groove together. What metrics are the ones? What are the KPIs that you're going to drive your business on? And how can you set up all the media to generate that information so you can show the client how smart you are and how smart they are for hiring you? That's the deal you have.
One of the biggest challenges is, we do business the way we've always done business because we have 5-year financial plans that are based on the way we've been doing business. How do we break the cycle of legacy way of doing business?
I understand the question. My first response is 5 years. I don't have 5 years to do anything. I have 1 year to do certain goals, and I think the media, the agencies are feeling that same pressure. We don't have that far of a window to go. 5 years is a long time today, and I think the way the agencies have to believe now is to question everything, is to question it and to move forward on the new ideas. The 5-year plans should be looked at as something to say, this is what we thought we were going to do, and this is how we're going to deviate from it. Year 1, let's try some stuff. Year 2, let's run with the ones that worked and yet put other things into the hopper to try it again. So it's this iterative process that would take us to 5 years. By the time you get to 5 years, you shouldn't recognize your plan anymore. You should have gotten so much better. You should have overshot your plan because every year you did this little incremental thing that made a bigger difference.